Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into a passage that, well, it's captivated and challenged people for ages, Matthew chapter 24.
That's right, a really key text, often called Jesus's Olivet Discourse. It's basically his big prophetic answer to some, well, incredibly pressing questions from his disciples.
And the setup is just so dramatic, isn't it?
Hmm.
Jesus has literally just walked out of the temple in Jerusalem, maybe for the last time.
Hmm.
And his disciples are, pointing out the buildings, how massive they are, how impressive. And then Jesus just drops this bombshell prediction, not one stone will be left on another.
Right. I just imagine hearing that about the absolute center of everything for them, religion, national identity. It's clearly weighing on them later when they get him alone.
Yeah, on the Mount of Olives, looking back over the city, and they ask him point blank, when will this happen? Meaning the temple's destruction.
But they don't stop there. They add two really crucial questions. What will be the sign of your coming? And what will be the sign of the end of the age?
So Matthew 24 is essentially Jesus laying out his answer. It's this detailed picture of what's coming, meant to, well, help them understand and be ready. It's like his roadmap for them.
Exactly. It mixes warnings, specific signs to look for, a description of unparalleled hardship, and then it pivots to teachings about being prepared because, crucially, the exact timing, that remains unknown.
Okay, let's dig into that response then. He doesn't start with dates, does he? He starts with a warning.
A big one. The very first thing is caution. Watch out that no one deceives you. That's number one.
And he gets specific about the deception, too.
Right away. He says, "For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Christ, and will deceive many." So false messiahs, false Christs, that's the initial danger he flags.
Wow. So the first sign isn't war or famine. It's confusion about who he is, misleading claims.
Oh,
Okay, then he gets into the wider world situation.
yes, and he talks about the kind of global unrest they'll hear about. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, and then nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom.
Standard conflict, almost.
Yeah.
But then he adds natural disasters.
Yeah, there will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and these aren't just random isolated things. They're part of a developing pattern.
And he gives all of this, the wars, the famines, the earthquakes, a specific name, the beginning of birth pains.
That phrase is so important. Birth pains signal distress, obviously pain, but they also imply something that builds.
Like labor. They get closer, more intense.
Exactly. So these initial troubles, as bad as they are, they're just the start of the process leading to the end. They're not the end itself. The implication is things will get, well, significantly worse.
Got it. So it's a warning.
Yeah.
Don't see these early signs and think, this is it. It's just the beginning of the process. And you said things intensify. What comes next sounds even rougher, especially for his followers.
It does. He shifts focus slightly and says, "Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me." So direct suffering for aligning with him.
And that external pressure has an internal effect too, doesn't it? He says, because of this, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other.
Yes, it's like the pressure cooker reveals internal cracks. Loyalty breaks down. And alongside that, he mentions more false prophets appearing and deceiving many. So you've got deception, betrayal, external hate. It's a really toxic mix.
And here's a line that always strikes me as, well, deeply sobering. Jesus says, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold.
That's a profound statement, isn't it? This chilling of love. It's presented almost as a direct result of all the surrounding lawlessness and hardship. It suggests a loss of compassion, maybe loyalty, even spiritual warmth. It's not just about events out there, but the effects in here, inside people.
Yeah, that spiritual, emotional toll. But it's not all bleak. There are counterpoints, right? He says, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved.
Endurance matters. And crucially, there's the mission aspect. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come.
So the global spread of the message has to happen first. It's like a prerequisite for the final end.
It seems so. It's presented as something that must happen before the end arrives.
Okay, then Jesus gives this really specific, almost coded sign. He talks about seeing the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, and adds, let the reader understand.
Right, a direct call back to Daniel in the Old Testament. Those passages historically relate to desecration, like Antiochus Epiphanes setting up a pagan altar in the temple.
So a profound act of sacrilege in a holy place.
Exactly, and Jesus saying, let the reader understand. Signals, pay close attention, this needs careful thought, maybe connect it to Daniel's context.
And seeing that specific sign is the trigger for immediate drastic action.
Mm.
He says, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. No hesitation.
The urgency is extreme. Don't even go back for your coat. Don't grab possessions. Just go. It highlights how incredibly dangerous that moment will be.
He even mentions practical concerns, praying it doesn't happen in winter or on the Sabbath, making the escape harder.
Showing concern for the vulnerable, even in this dire warning, it underscores the reality of the flight.
And then comes what sounds like the absolute peak of the trouble. He describes it as great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again.
Yeah, that points to a unique, unparalleled period of tribulation, something singular in all of history. He even says it's so severe that if the time wasn't cut short, no one would survive.
But it will be shortened.
For the sake of the elect, his chosen ones, yes, those days will be limited.
Okay, so after this unmatched period of distress, Jesus circles back to the warning about deception, specifically about his own return.
He does. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or there he is, do not believe it. It seems like the deception ramps up again here.
More false claims.
Potentially more convincing ones. He mentions they might come with signs and wonders, powerful enough to potentially fool even the elect, if that were possible. He's arming his followers before it happens.
And he specifically says, don't go chasing rumors like he's out in the desert or hiding in the inner rooms.
Exactly, because his actual coming won't be like that at all. It won't be secret or localized.
How does he describe the real thing?
Unmistakable, universal. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of volunteer Son of Man. Everyone sees it.
Like a flash across the whole sky. You won't need CNN to tell you it's happening. It's self-evident.
Yeah.
And then there's that slightly cryptic line, wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather.
Yeah, that's interpreted in a few ways. Often it's seen as meaning the event. Maybe the judgment or the culmination will be obvious, like vultures drawn to a carcass. Everyone's attention will be drawn to this undeniable event. The result will be plain to see.
Okay. So immediately after that period of great distress, and after warning against these false, localized claims about his return, what happens right before the real, visible coming?
That's when the cosmos gets involved. He says, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Huge, dramatic, celestial signs.
Disruptions in the heavens themselves. And then
the sign of the Son of Man appears in the sky. All the nations mourn, and they will see him coming on the clouds with power and great glory. This is it, the grand arrival.
no more hiding, no more rumors, just visible power and glory.
Yes, and accompanied by angels, a loud trumpet call, gathering his elect from everywhere, from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. It's the final, undeniable culmination he's been building towards.
Right. Now, after laying out all these signs, this sequence, he shifts to help them understand how to read the timing of it all, using an analogy.
The fig tree. He says, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near.
Simple enough. You see the signs on the tree, you know the season is changing.
Exactly. The point is recognizing the approach of something based on observable indicators.
And then he connects it directly. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. He's linking the signs he just gave, the birth, pains, persecution, abomination, distress, cosmic events, to the nearness of the end.
He's saying, look, these signs I've given you, they are reliable indicators. When you see them happening, understand the season is upon you. The event is imminent.
Then he makes this statement that, well, it causes a lot of debate. I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened.
Ah, yes, that verse. Definitely one of the most discussed parts. What does this generation mean? It's tricky.
What are the main views?
Well, some argue it meant the generation literally listening to Jesus speak, suggesting these events, or at least a primary fulfillment related to the temple's destruction in 70 AD, would happen in their lifetime. Maybe seeing 70 ADs as a type or a partial fulfillment.
Okay, so one possibility is it refers to his contemporaries.
Another view is that this generation refers to the generation that sees the start of these specific end-time signs. He described the birth pains escalating, the abomination, etc. That generation, the one experiencing those things, will also see the final completion. It really highlights how interpreting prophecy across centuries is complex.
You can really feel the tension there. He gives signs so you know it's near, right at the door, makes a strong statement about this generation. But then, almost immediately, he seems to pull back on the precise timing.
He does. It's a critical pivot. He says, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father."
Wow, not even the Son in his earthly ministry knew the timing, only the Father.
That's what the text says. So you can recognize the season from the signs, like summer from the fig tree, but the exact day, the specific hour, hidden, unknown.
That creates such a powerful dynamic for his followers, doesn't it? You have clear signs saying, get ready, it's close, but you don't know exactly when, which leads right into his warnings about readiness.
Absolutely. He compares it straight to the days of Noah. People were just
Yeah.
living, eating, drinking, marrying, going about daily life, completely oblivious to the flood that was about to hit.
Right up until Noah got in the ark, and boom, the flood came, unexpectedly for them.
You weren't watching, they weren't ready. And Jesus says his coming will be like that for those who aren't prepared. Sudden, unexpected, cutting right through the ordinary routines of life.
He uses that stark image. Two people working together in a field, or two women grinding grain, one taken, the other left.
Yeah, illustrating the suddenness, the selectivity, the immediate separation that occurs at that unexpected moment.
So given this absolute uncertainty about the moment, what's the main takeaway? The core command.
It's repeated and clear. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. And then again, so you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him.
Watchful, ready. Because you just don't know when. He uses that analogy, too, of the homeowner and the thief.
Right. If the homeowner knew what time the thief was coming, he'd be up and ready at that specific time. But since you don't know the hour.
You have to be watchful all the time. Always ready.
And that leads perfectly into his final parable in this section, the one about the servants. The faithful and wise servant versus the wicked one. What does that teach us about how to be ready?
It makes it really practical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about passively watching the sky. The faithful servant is the one who, when the master returns, whenever that might be, is found doing his job.
Taking care of business, specifically giving others their food at the proper time, fulfilling his responsibilities, and that servant gets rewarded. So readiness looks like active, responsible service while waiting.
Exactly. And the contrast is the wicked servant who thinks, the master's taking a long time, and uses that as an excuse.
Right. An excuse for neglect, for abuse, mistreating the other servants, partying, indulging himself. Basically, living as if the master isn't coming back anytime soon, or maybe at all.
And the consequence for him. The master comes back precisely when he's not expected, catches him out, and the judgment is severe.
It shows that being ready isn't just about having your bags packed, spiritually speaking. It's about how you're living now. It's about faithful work, ethical behavior, treating others well, all flowing from the conviction that the master is coming back, even if you don't know when.
It connects the unknown timing directly to present responsibility. That's powerful.
It really is. It grounds the whole prophetic discourse in practical daily living and faithfulness.
Okay, so just to recap our deep dive into Matthew 24, we've walked through Jesus' response, starting with warnings against deception, false Christs, false prophets.
Then the birth pains, the wars, famines, earthquakes, signaling the beginning of the process, followed by intense persecution, betrayal, even love growing cold for many.
But also the promise of salvation for those who endure, and the crucial prerequisite of the gospel reaching the whole world.
Then that specific sign, the abomination that causes desolation, triggering urgent flight, leading into the unparalleled great distress.
Immediately after which come the cosmic signs, sun, moon, stars disrupted, and then the unmistakable, glorious, visible return of the Son of Man to gather his people.
And threaded through it all, that tension, he gives signs, like the fig tree, so you know when the season is near, right at the door.
But then immediately emphasizes the exact day and hour. Nobody knows but the Father. It will be unexpected, like the flood in Noah's day, cutting through normal life.
Which leads to the constant command, keep watch, be ready. And readiness isn't passive waiting, as the servant parable shows, but active faithfulness and responsible living now.
It leaves you with a real challenge, doesn't it? Holding both things at once.
Yeah.
How do you stay alert, watching for the signs Jesus described, while also just living faithfully day to day, knowing he could return at any unexpected moment, like in Noah's time?
And how does that call to be the faithful servant, diligently doing the work while you wait, apply personally when the master's return time is deliberately kept hidden? It's definitely something to reflect on.